indigenous people watch from a grassy slope, looking out into the great green expanse that provides them with everything they need. They walk through the jungle's tree-lined pathways. From its rich diversity of wood, they are able to sustain their families' livelihoods in order for their children to raise a new generation. Their expert use of wood enabled them to make weapons for hunting, such as blowpipes. They also embellished these items with artistic motives, designed to bring good fortune when hunting. This survival use was possibly the first time wood was utilized as a tool and an art form. The indigenous peoples of today could be a snapshot of how the roots of our wood culture came to be. Gwyn Jenkins, an architectural conservationist from the UK, is passionate about wood and talks about how wood had been used initially by indigenous peoples and ever since has been one of man's most vital materials.
How we originally would work with wood, we still have people in the situations where they are very close to nature, they have not divorced themselves from nature, and they are interesting to study to see how they respect and honor and use timbers and wood in their everyday lives. And these are the indigenous of the Amazon, of the Orang Asli, of Malaysia, or wherever, who are still very close to nature. And that's where we would have ourselves have originally come from.
Millions of years ago, wood began to appear, and over time covered large parts of our globe, and with it, other life began to proliferate. The growth of wood and forests helped with the formation of clouds and rainfall, establishing great rivers and substantial water basins throughout the Earth's surface. While wood grew, other organic life forms evolved, and through thousands of years of growth and change, wood made the planet a more stable environment for life to flourish. Wood, it could be argued, created life on Earth. The fig tree is credited with the survival of most species, and through evolution, animals adapted and developed side by side with this most life-giving tree. Even today, this tree has evolved into many different varieties that can be eaten and provides great nutrition. If we look at the world's existence as a clock face, it's fair to say that us humans have only been on the planet in the last few seconds. However, in that brief spell on Earth, wood has been vital in serving our needs and was essential for our survival.
So we've actually used wood from cradle to grave. It's been the material of our development. It's been the material of exploration and transport. Imagine from an Eskimo sledge to a great sailing schooner. They used tremendous amounts of wood.
Man has long known about creating fire from rubbing various woods together. It's been a skill handed down through time, and this important usage probably was the single most vital use for wood. Wood, apart from being used as a means of hunting in the form of weapons, raised in importance as a fuel. It meant we could be warm and cook our hunted game. The roots of wood in culture can be traced back to when it was such a vital raw material to sustain life and survival.
It's hard to imagine how we would have evolved without wood. I mean, wood has been our first tool, the stick that we pick up and prod the frog with, whatever, as children. I mean, that's what man or humans would have used very early on in our development. It became our shelter, it became our fire, it became our clothing, bark clothing, wooden clogs. It's so much part of us.
As we passed down the knowledge, the emergence of larger populations led to the construction of larger shelters, and soon, villages made from wood. Communities could thrive in more permanent abodes, and being less nomadic meant teachings and learning new things could accelerate. From man's humble beginnings, his descendants were able to refine the use of wood and began using wood for other things besides weapons, fire, and shelters. It could be used for transport along the world's natural arteries, the rivers. Simple dugouts were created to ferry people and belongings along the waterways, spreading the communities and setting up new settlements. Wood, indeed, was held in great regard, and its uses were truly plenty. By now, people would carve deities and figures and adorn many of the daily wooden artifacts with imagery and patterns in homage to their perceived providers. It was a time of artistry and culture when many things were manufactured from wood. The culture of wood was truly blossoming with each new community. Earlier shelters were basic and rudimentary compared to the wood culture of creating homes, comprising of largely ornately carved wooden structures, and having the ability to be truly weatherproof and animal-proof meant communities felt secure. This too was another formation of a cultural and generational use for wood. All across the globe, different needs were met by the use of wood. In desert areas, it started by individuals collecting pieces of wood with which they would make fire and keep warm during the cold desert nights. Their descendants would find ways to utilize wood to help with the formation of agriculture and irrigation. Wood's use as a means of basic transport in the form of carts would improve trade and assist in the mobilization and migration of various ethnic groups across the globe. Wood's roots were expanding our uses for it, and all cultures depended and revered this most versatile of materials. The roots of wood culture were specific to various populated regions throughout the world. Everyone and every tribe utilized wood in different ways. Firstly, according to their needs, which was followed by more artistic manifestations. In the north, Vikings used wood to construct large sea-going sailboats, with which they enlarged their empire and laid the foundations for trade within Europe. Every culture's beginnings depended on wood.
Wood was also used for building the warships as well as trading ships. You imagine a Nelson's Victory that took 80 acres of oak forest.
Much later, when the world was interconnected by trade and commodities, wood's importance grew as our population grew, and migration became commonplace. More housing, more ships, and more productivity brought together all the skills and knowledge about wood, where the culture of wood became more about commercial expression. However, when global trade was established, another generation of wood builders or carpenters honed their artistry and skill by creating things for domestic use in homes. Ornate furniture and decorative objects was just another manifestation for this natural wonder.
But you can also build your buildings to express your wealth as well, and the original ones were definitely built out of timbers. The incredible churches with the onion domes that are all out of timber. I mean, it has allowed us to express our arts, our creativity in more than just the trade way, but certainly in other areas. For music, architecture are just two examples.
Wood's roots, although started many thousands of years ago, has had many beginnings that have profoundly shaped our way of life. Wood was also instrumental in shaping the way we use metal. Fire could melt or soften metal, making it malleable to be turned into so many things. If we imagine all the armor and weapons of our past, almost all were crafted with wood fires. Many artisans still use wood-fired kilns for making tools and objects. Today's vast fishing industry has its roots in wood. Early ocean-going boats evolved into the more recognizable craft, plying our oceans to provide us with our daily catch. Wood also formed the basis for paper, and our centuries of evolution and history has been well documented on millions of pages of written material. We also have wood to thank for the first printing of pictures and text. Its use in this area promoted learning and education faster than at any time before.
Well, if you think of it as a paper form, it certainly has expanded our knowledge tremendously. Within the printing press obviously came in, which was originally a wooden block, and then that allowed more people to read and learn about new things. So wood is phenomenally important, has been phenomenally important, and I think still is to our well-being.
Wood's roots also played a part in many cultural diversities. Its very makeup encouraged engineering, architecture, exploration, and invention.
In the technical age, it became the method for moving water and moving ourselves on water. Imagine the canals that were built, the huge lock gates which held the water back and then allowed the lock to fill and rise, and then our wooden boats would go through. So wood is so much part of us.
Many of the wood cultures of thousands of years ago still thrive. Wooden boats are still built in many countries across the globe and have even been adapted for modern use. The old techniques and knowledge have been passed down to every generation, and each has added a new twist. What is certain is that without wood, the circumnavigation and exploration of our world would not have been possible.
Well, if you imagine a violin is made of wood, and then a ship is also made of wood, our cooking utensils or chairs are made of wood, it's so versatile.
While the roots of wood developed thousands of years ago, today the culture of wood still exists, whether to stay warm as a fuel, as everyday utensils, items for cooking, for carving a sign, or as just a pair of simple shoes. What is definite is that the culture of wood has developed throughout our world's evolution, and each generation has created new wood cultures to adapt to changing circumstance and technology. In our modern surroundings, wood softens the view and makes our homes feel organic and safe. It's a material rooted in our very conscience.
But there's nothing more lovely than touching a beautiful piece of wood, especially if it hasn't been painted. I never understand why anyone paints wood, because it has the most wonderful grain in it. If you're walking up a staircase and you touch the handrail, it has a warmth, it has a quality about it that is so comforting in a way. It's secure. You're not going to fall down that staircase when you walk up touching that. So wood is a very pleasing material. And the fact that we can plant it and grow it, and there's more, and there'll always be more if we look after it, is a phenomenal gift we've been given, which unfortunately we just don't seem to know or to respect, which is a great shame.
Wood as a raw material and object has been prevalent in our rapidly evolving society. It has seen the demise of many so-called old technologies, but yet is itself our oldest link to our very existence. The roots of wood have very humble beginnings, but it has served us well and continues to be used to create modern, sophisticated applications, as it has done with every generation that has been on our planet. Wood's roots are clearly defined. However, every generation had a hand in creating a new branch, just like the way a tree grows. The roots of wood started a continual process of growth and rejuvenation for mankind.
Its beauty, it's a material that we can actually replenish. We can nurture it and grow more. You can't do that with other materials, and that's what makes it so special.
It must be cautioned that with the pace of our current development and progress, the jungles, the tundra, and every other wooded area on our planet has been greatly depleted. It is getting to the point where our planet's health is in jeopardy. The air we breathe, the climate patterns, and the food we grow all depend on wooded areas to maintain a viable atmospheric situation. We can look at our ancestors for clues on how to reap the rewards of wood without damaging our ecosystems. Today's indigenous people could teach us many things about respecting the world we inhabit.
I respect the fact that they are still in that situation, because they respect the planet far more than the rest of us who believe we're developed and have moved on. So that's the anthropological side coming out, actually. But those who constantly work with wood seem to be a very different type of people than those who have divorced themselves from our origins and moved into a very plastic, very modern age, forgetting or respecting what actually helps us breathe, and that's the trees and the wood that we work with.
Wood, in its very nature, is a flexible material, and it is this characteristic that has enabled it to shape our future through its many different uses through time. From the beginnings of fire to the large wooden boats that crossed our oceans and changed the way the world conducted commerce, to the very latest ultra-modern eco-house, wood has always had its roots in the birth of our existence. Its continual use has also spawned most every other vocational culture man has developed. The fields of architecture, metal forging, agriculture, the arts and medicine are but a few. Wood's roots have always been reinvented and redefined with every passing generation, and is already laying down new ones for our future. Wood roots have left an indelible mark on our very existence, and without wood, it would be difficult to predict how we would have evolved.
Wood has been with us for centuries, is very much part of us as human beings and how we've developed. Without wood, I think we would be still in the cave. We wouldn't have got very far at all.
Nearly all man's progressive endeavors have featured wood in some way or form, and it is safe to say that our further development on our planet will continue to grow with them. Wood's roots established our existence, and its continued growth will always be the most important part of our continued presence.